Today's story is the most twisted mother-in-law situation we've ever received. It has family betrayal, secrets. We're going to be invited into the room of family therapy. We have a baby born out of an affair, a hidden adult group, and a shocking final letter. I'm telling you, you guys, when I was reading her story, my mouth was like this the whole time. I'm like, oh. And then the moment I thought, okay, I can close my mouth and another thing would happen, I'd be like, oh. So trust me, the moment you're just like, okay, and then it's going to drop. And then you're thinking, okay, it can't get worse. And then it's going to drop. So hang on, get yourself something to drink, get a cozy blanket and snuggle in. This will be a multi-parter. I'm going to read this through the daughter-in-law, Kira's lens. And she has a question for you at the end. Like for our community specifically, she wants to know, after everything you're about to hear that my mother-in-law did to me and my family, she still wants a relationship with me, and there is no way I'm reconciling with her, but she won't let up, and I need your help. So definitely stay until the end so you can give her some feedback. Just so you know, names, and then some of the details, I tweaked it just to be sensitive and try to protect anonymity, because this is such a big story. And every once in a while I'm going to put up a genogram, which is kind of like a family tree, just so that you can keep track of everybody in the story, because there are a lot of people. So here's part one, and again, I'm reading it through her lens. When I got married, I used to think I hit the in-law jackpot. They were fun, they went to church, and my mother-in-law Beverly was so kind. She treated me like the number one pick of all the daughter-in-laws. The only downfall was that she seemed to have a too close relationship with her daughter Stephanie. So much so, it almost seemed like she was living vicariously through her. Fast forward 3 years when Stephanie and I get pregnant at the same time. That's when my mother-in-law's true colors started to shine. She became even more obsessed with Stephanie, and everything was about her. Now, Stephanie did get pregnant with Bennett, their miracle baby, through IVF, so I understand he just kind of seemed more special, but I definitely took notice. Beverly has always had favorites. When Stephanie and my husband were little, Stephanie was number one, and now Bennett is clearly the favorite grandchild. Beverly kept Bennett all the time for Stephanie. Literally, he was at her house 24/7. It was like Bennett had two moms, not a mom and a grandma. It was a very strange dynamic, and it left us, like our family and our daughter, feeling left out. Fast forward another 4 years, now we have two daughters, and at this point, everything is still all about Bennett. Beverly picks him up from school, feeds him lunch, puts him down for a nap, he stays at her house until the dad gets off work, and the dad picks him up and the dad brings him home. Now, this might seem normal for grandparents to keep their grandkids of working moms, except Stephanie doesn't have a job. Stephanie is a stay-at-home mom who lets her mother take care of her miracle baby all day long. So people in our small town will ask, like, what does Stephanie do all day? And of course, we have no idea what to say. Like, we don't know what she does all day. As far as we know, she just claims that she's tired and she naps a lot. At this point, Beverly starts to become very passive aggressive towards me. Sam, my husband, he doesn't see it, but I'm aware that tension is brewing. Finally, Sam decides to talk to his mom about this very strange dynamic with Bennett. And she confessed that she does it all and takes care of him like a mother because she just knows his sister Stephanie won't. Like, we're talking about, she catered to Bennett. For example, Beverly believed that Stephanie would make Bennett ride that bus. You know, like in preschool or maybe kindergarten at this point, you have a school bus in town. She thought her daughter would actually make her child ride the bus. So this is how much she catered to Bennett. She would park outside. This is a small town, guys, so not a busy school. She would park outside the school an hour before school got out just to make sure she was first in line so Bennett wouldn't have to wait a second to get picked up. And the kicker, she's sitting there, like right there at that school. At the same time, Kira's daughter is there, and never once did she offer to pick her up, bring her home, or even maybe spend some time with her and Bennett. Things like this just took a toll on us. Now, right before Bennett's 5th birthday, Stephanie was caught having an affair with a man who lived in their neighborhood. This was a huge ordeal, and her husband Cole became mentally unstable. His family pushed hard for Cole to leave Stephanie, but Cole decides to stay. Fast forward a few weeks, Stephanie finds out she's pregnant, not by her husband, but by the neighbor. Apparently, she didn't use protection because she had to use IVF to have Bennett, so she thought, I can't get pregnant. Cole still decides to stay and raise the baby as his own. They move into a new neighborhood, which also happens to be the same neighborhood as Beverly and Doug, Stephanie's parents, for their fresh start. But when the baby is born, it is born mixed race. The neighbor, who Stephanie had an affair with, is white just like her. So now, once again, people in town are starting to talk. This really upsets Beverly because image is everything to my mother-in-law, and in her eyes, Stephanie can do no wrong. So when the new baby is born, Adeline takes over, becoming Beverly's whole world. Bennett is 5 years old at this point. He's kicked to the curb with the other grandkids. Beverly still keeps Bennett and Adeline all the time, acts like their mom instead of their grandma. But Stephanie is still left with all this free time. Like, you guys, are you curious? Like, what is Stephanie doing with all of her time? I mean, her affair got caught, or, she's done with that affair. What else could she be doing? We're about to find out. So when Adeline is 6 months old, Doug, my father-in-law, logged into an old email that Stephanie had apparently used to create a Facebook account when she was in college. And he found a ton of Facebook messages that were in email form stating that Stephanie was involved in an adult group. These messages dated back at least 3 years. So if you're keeping track, that means that Bennett, her miracle baby, was either 2 or just turning 3 years old at this point when this started up. They would talk dirty to each other through Messenger, send each other videos, sometimes of themselves, sometimes of themselves with other people. And then they would also meet up as a group and do activities together, adult activities. And then there was even a video of Stephanie with the neighbor, the man she originally cheated with, and got caught with, and they moved away and all that stuff. But this video was a video in their new house. So she never stopped cheating. And here's the scary part. Stephanie was planning to meet a man from a nearby town at a hotel the very next day, and she was planning on bringing her 6-month-old daughter Adeline with. In the message, the man said, "It's fine if a baby is there." Thank gosh Doug logged in unexpectedly to this email. So Doug calls my husband Sam for advice. Doug decides, okay, at this point, I'm going to keep this secret from Beverly, his wife. Sam and Doug go to confront Stephanie together, but Stephanie's not sorry. She shows no remorse, and she sees nothing wrong with her behavior or her choices. Her husband, Cole, he doesn't know anything that's going on. He doesn't know about the adult groups or the fact that she continued to cheat, but we do. We all know. This was a huge struggle for me to keep this secret from Cole, especially when nothing changed. Stephanie just kept living her secret life. Now Doug, her dad, is protecting her. Beverly is still caring for the kids 24/7. So finally, I tell Sam, if you don't tell Beverly, I will. She needs to know so she can stop caring for these kids all the time and leaving Stephanie with all this free time. I truly believed that if Beverly knew what was going on, she would hold Stephanie accountable, and then the secret could come out, and I would not be feeling like I was keeping this from Cole. So Doug, Sam, and I sat Beverly down, but instead of keeping her daughter accountable, all Beverly was worried about that no one else can find out about this. She was so worried about the family image. And because of that, she turned everything on me. She said that I wanted everyone to find out in town, but that was the furthest thing from the truth. I wanted her to know so that she could stop keeping Stephanie's kids all the time and take care of her daughter. So we're going to pause here, and in the next video, we're going to enter family therapy with everybody in the family except for Cole. Welcome back to the most twisted mother-in-law story we have ever heard. We left off where this family is about to enter family therapy, minus Cole, of course. Now, if you remember, this is all happening because Kira is pitching a fit. She's getting eaten alive with guilt because everyone in this family is pretending like this is fine. We're just going to keep going like everything's normal, even though we just found out that Stephanie has a secret adult life. We're not going to tell Cole. We're just going to keep going on. Mother-in-law is going to keep caring for the kids. Dad's going to keep protecting Stephanie. And shh. And Kira's like, no, this is not okay. So now we're in family therapy. But before we join them in that, I have 2 updates. Now, Kira is watching this series along with us, and she reached out last night. So the first email was gratitude, and I could really sense just relief in her words. And if you imagine going through this, everything we've heard so far, I mean, this just happens in a bubble in your own family. No one knows your experience, and then all of a sudden you just feel seen and validated, like your experience is validated. And that's what I felt in her first email. And then I think what happened, because we got a second email, and it was different. I think what happened was she felt so good that she wanted to share that feeling with her husband, Sam. And so she showed Sam part 1. And then Sam was like, oh my gosh. He got a little nervous. And he got a little nervous that someone in their small town would find our small channel and piece it together. So they just had one request. Going forward, we can still share all the details because there's still more to come. We can still share it, but rather than reading Kira's words directly from her email, just kind of summarize it. And of course, even though we had full permission, the series was already created, we want everyone to feel comfortable and respected. We're here to do good, not harm. So we're gonna definitely honor that. The second update that Kira wanted to share is she's seen in the comments that you're just like, there's no way this is real. There's no way. And she wants to say, I know it seems unbelievable, but this is our lived experience. This is very real. This happened, but she can't comment because she wants to stay anonymous. So she wanted me to add that. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I'm going to focus on Kira's experience from here on out, because at this point, because if you remember, her question is, how can I communicate very clearly to my mother-in-law? I don't want to reconcile after this. But at this point, you might be like me thinking, my gosh, it's kind of like Stephanie's the problem here. And yeah, Beverly's enabling it, but wow, there's a lot going on with Stephanie. But I really want you to know, leading up to her final question and our final part, so you can give, your best advice to Kira and really empathize with her. I want you to know what Kira's experience has been with her mother-in-law. So let's join them in family therapy. I want you to hear specifically the heartless thing that Beverly did to Kira in therapy to deflect from Stephanie. And then I'm just going to give you the highlighted versions of everything that they have gone through. Kira specifically. So they're in family therapy. Cole's excluded. Kira can't get a word in. Can't talk at all. Beverly keeps interrupting her, and then she does the worst thing, I think, imaginable. I truly cannot believe she did this, and you're going to understand in a second. Beverly tells a lie about Kira's father, something that just discredits his character completely. And the reason why this is so just out of left field, just completely trying to distract from their problem, their drama, is that Kira tragically lost her father 3 weeks prior to this family session. So she's drowning in grief. She's still in shock that she lost her father, and now in therapy, when she's trying to help Cole, she's advocating for this family to not lie to Cole and to kind of get their ish together. So she's trying to do that. At the same time, she's dealing with the fresh loss of her father. That is what Beverly does. And she even clarified or verified after the family session that this was indeed a lie. So it hurt her in a way that she'll never be able to move on from. She just couldn't believe Beverly hit that low. So the family session, needless to say, didn't go good. Kira's still drowning in guilt because Cole doesn't know. She doesn't feel like she's the person that should be telling Cole. So she goes back to this family therapist on her own so she can talk uninterrupted. And the family therapist said something that allowed Kira to let it go. She said, Kira, the baby, Adeline, born out of the affair, is obviously mixed. If Cole wanted to know more, he would ask questions. He obviously wants to ignore it. You can let this go. This isn't your mission. And with that, Kira was like, you're right. And so she was able to let it go. So fast forward several years, now Adeline is in grade school and the biological father reaches out. and he's now wanting visitation rights. The entire family just flips upside down, and Beverly feels like she's just losing everything. And if you can just pause for a second and try to empathize with the mother-in-law, she's raising these babies, Bennett and Adeline, like her own. So she's feeling like, I don't have any right here, but at the same time, this literally feels like my baby is getting taken away. So I have huge empathy for the fact of why Beverly really lost it here. But during the whole court battle, like trying to fight so that he doesn't get visitation rights, Beverly crosses the line. So she's so stressed out over the fact that she might lose time or someone might have access to her baby Adeline that she has all of her grandkids over. They're all playing, doing the same thing. They get into trouble, but she only reprimands and swats one of Kira's kids. Now, Kira's oldest child sees this, and she knows this isn't fair, this isn't right. So she sneaks away, calls her mom from her Apple Watch, come and get us. Grandma just did this. This isn't right. So Sam goes over, tells his mom, this is why I'm here. This is wrong. You shouldn't have done this. You've always showed favoritism. Not okay. Well, later that night, Sam starts to receive very mean messages from Beverly, just really upset that he, had the audacity to come over, grab the kids early, just really upset at him. He doesn't want to be texting, so he calls his mom. She's slurring her words, so they're kind of thinking she might be drinking. Now, here is your sensitive, activation alert. If you don't want to talk about a sensitive topic, click off right now. The very next day, after she swatted Kira's son, Beverly attempts to unalive herself. Thankfully, she was not successful, but she left a final letter really letting out her thoughts. In this letter, she left everything to Stephanie and her family. Even her family's heirloom jewelry goes to Adeline. Nothing, she clearly states, nothing goes to Sam, nothing goes to his family, and she even named one of Kira's family members, specifically kind of placing blame in that letter. They were just like, what? They had no clue. Kira had no clue that they were, she had so much ill will towards them, towards their family. They were just blindsided. And she honestly was just like, wait a minute, because she also said in the letter how ungrateful her family was, how she was sick of getting used. But it was like, wait a minute, Stephanie did all this stuff to you. We didn't do anything. We never asked anything from you. How could you say this about our family? How could you do this to us? I'm just so confused. And then after Beverly's released from the hospital, what do you think happens? She wants to pretend like nothing happened. But what Beverly doesn't realize is that her family read that final letter. She doesn't think they read it. And so they can't go on pretending. They need to address some things. And so they told Beverly, until you get professional help, we have to go no contact. So that's where we're going to pause today. And then in the next part, I'm going to go into, does she go get professional help? How does that go? Do Sam and Kira ever get closure? And then we're going to get to Kira's final question. She has 2 questions for our community. So I'll see you in our final part tomorrow for part 3. Welcome back to the most twisted mother-in-law story we have ever heard. We left off, sensitive topic alert, Beverly, the mother-in-law, has just been released from the hospital after her attempt to unalive herself. She's thinking we can just pretend like nothing happened, continue on like normal, but she's unaware that her family, her entire family, read her final letter, read her real thoughts about everything, how she felt about everybody, and they are so hurt and just almost blindsided because she had so much ill will towards them because they've done nothing wrong. So Sam and Kira at this point, they put up their hand. They say, nope, we're going no contact until you get professional help. And they knew they had to go this hard at this point. Otherwise, she wouldn't do anything. She would just continue to pretend like nothing ever happened. And you guys, Beverly actually goes to get help. I was shocked. I was reading this. I'm like, there's no way she's going to go get help. Someone like her's not. She goes to get help. She goes to get help. So she goes into therapy for months. She's got a lot of work to do with herself, with her husband, before she actually gets to Sam and Kira. So months go by of no contact. And finally, It's time for Sam and Kira to go into therapy with Beverly to like say everything that they need Beverly to hear. And then the therapist is like, I'm sorry, Kira, this is just going to be for Sam and Beverly. Kira's like, okay, like thinking I'm going to get my chance at some point. So that's fine. Totally like, Sam, good luck. Sam goes in, has a great session. Like it's really helpful. And then Kira's waiting and waiting, but her time never comes. The therapist does encourage Beverly to go on her own to chat with Kira, but Beverly never does. A meeting never happens. She just basically thinks, well, I talked to Sam, that's good enough. And she thinks I can just pretend like nothing happened. And now December rolls around. So again, this is a full long year of this whole thing. Kira has yet to say her piece to her mother-in-law. And finally, December, she gets a text from Beverly. Not to ask to meet up, but to ask about a Christmas gift for one of the kids. So Kira, responds, and then she's like, I'm just going to say it. Do you think we could meet sometime to chat? And she, instead of saying like, yes, I've been waiting, Kira, to have this conversation. What a good thing to bring up. Let's meet at this time. No, instead she just says, sounds good. That's it. And then she just goes dark for a few days. So Kira's just like confused because to Sam, Beverly is saying, yeah, I want to get together with Kira, before Christmas, make sure we talk things out. But then her actions aren't lining up with her words. So listen to this, you guys. Sam is like our all-star husband. He picks up the phone immediately. He's like, Mom, you say you want to talk with Kira and work this out, but it sounds good. It doesn't sound like it. So if you want Kira to attend Christmas, you be at our house tomorrow and let's talk this out. And she shows up. So finally, you guys, Kira is going to have her meeting. She gets to say her piece, speak her feelings to Beverly after all this time. And she's got two things. First, she asks, why did you do all that in your final letter? Why did you say all that? Like, what could we have possibly done to you for you to feel this way about us? And they got no answers. Beverly is like, Kira, this past year was the worst year of my life. I don't know what I even said in that letter. I just don't even know what I was doing. I don't even know how I functioned. I was so wrapped up in the court case with Adeline. So they got no answers there. And then, sorry, I'm starting to shiver because, well, this is all coming to an end, but plus I'm out on my cold porch. And then the second question the second part of the meeting was supposed to be focused on what Beverly could expect going forward in terms of a relationship with Kira. Kira wanted to make sure it was very clear, Beverly, we're not reconciling. I have no interest in being in a relationship with you beyond just being cordial so you can have a relationship with our kids, period. So she made sure that was very clear. They had Christmas and now they're starting to hang out. So now she's reaching out to us because it's not going well. Like she thought she was very clear. Beverly, we're not going to reconcile. But Beverly is showing up at every sporting event and she's not just like sitting there quietly. She's constantly trying to, rekindle things with Kira. She's asking questions, trying to, just how they used to be. She's trying to be the mother-in-law. But Kira's uncomfortable. She can't fake nice forever. And she's wondering, what can I do? Like, how much more clear can I be? Basically, I'm going to say hi. How's it going? And then I just want you to focus on the kids and please stop talking to me like she's not picking up my social cues. And her second question, you guys, she wants to know, what do we tell our kids about this experience? And like, when do we tell them? So the first part about talking and being very clear with Beverly about what you want this to look like, maybe she's trying to heal with you, and hopefully the phone's not shaking because I'm so cold. Maybe she's trying to heal with you. Maybe she's just, uncomfortable being silent and doing small talk. Maybe she's confused. Maybe she thinks that's just being cordial. So for me, if it was my mother-in-law, I would get a little granular and I would just literally lay it out. And I would just say, Beverly, I know that I was clear saying I'm not ready, or if ever I'll be ready for a relationship or reconcile. But at this time, what this looks like is I'll say, hi, how are you? But when we're at sporting events, I really kindly ask that you focus your attention on the kids, that I am not going to engage in small talk. So if you continue to talk to me, I just don't want you to feel awkward. I'm not gonna answer all your questions. So I'd be very clear, and then I would mind my boundaries. So when she starts to ask those questions again, I would just kind of whisper so the kids don't hear, like, Beverly, remember, I'm not gonna do this. That's one way you can do it. And I have to be honest with you guys, I do feel for everyone in this family. So even just hearing, like, I'm never going to reconcile with her, I had to fully go back into everything that Kira has been through and remind myself, Kira, you're being the bigger person. You know that you can't trust your mother-in-law after everything she's done to you. You understand that everyone's been through a lot, but even though you don't want a relationship with someone like Beverly, you know that she still has benefit and a place in your life for your kids, and you're taking the high road, and I respect you so much for that. So I hope getting granular helps, and I know that the community will have really good suggestions. As far as your second question, what do we tell the kids and how much and when? This is out of my wheelhouse. I'm not a child psychologist or a child development expert, so hopefully some people in the community are. My mom perspective, because Kira specifically said, I don't want to lie to my kids. If they are asking questions, that's a different thing. But in terms of offering up information, and I'm going to just go there, specifically about the final letter and specifically about the unaliving attempt, I don't see that as lying as much as just not burdening my children with information that might not be helpful. And I don't know if that's the right way, but I was trying to imagine me ever telling my kids this information just to tell them. And I don't know if I ever would burden them, because I don't know if you ever get to an age where that's not a burden to carry. I don't know. So for me, I guess I don't know what information I would share about the unaliving attempt or the letter with my children, because I don't know what good that would do at this point, unless something comes up and it's necessary. That's just my non-expert mom opinion. And I don't feel like that's lying. I feel that's more protecting, but I could be wrong. Kira and Sam, I thank you so much for trusting our community with your story. You guys have been through, like, I don't want to get emotional, but your family has been through so much. Like, Stephanie obviously has a lot she is dealing with on her own, and she's put you guys through a lot, just based on whatever she's going through. Beverly, I feel like with the skill set she has, and she's doing the best she can to hang on. Has she done so many mistakes? Absolutely. And I have empathy for her. Kira, I'm so sorry for the loss of your father. I'm so sorry that she did that to you in therapy. I'm sorry you went through all of it to watch your children be favored or not favored, the passive aggressive stuff, having everything be blamed on you when you were just trying to stand up for Cole. Thank you so much again for trusting us. I have empathy for this entire family. I hope you guys, I know you guys will hold this family in your hands well and support them. Welcome back to the most twisted mother-in-law story we've ever heard. Today, Kira's answering your questions. So she has been right along with us, watching this series, in the comments, reading everything you're saying, your perspectives, your heartfelt insights, your advice, and your questions. And she sees a pattern in a few of your questions and concerns, and she would like to take time to just answer them. And she wants to in the comments, but of course she wants to stay anonymous. So I'm going to be her facilitator, giving you the answers you're craving. First and foremost, she wants to give you the biggest heartfelt thank you. She said, I have never felt more seen and validated. So thank you guys. You're doing a wonderful job just holding this family with such tenderness. The first question that keeps coming up is, does Cole and Stephanie have an open marriage? Maybe that's why, Stephanie gets to have this secret, adult life and have all this fun while Beverly's taking care of her kids. Absolutely not. She said, absolutely not. Cole was so devastated, absolutely shattered to pieces when he discovered that very first affair, well, the only one he knew of at the time until the baby was born, with a neighbor. He was broken, so broken that his parents had to help take care of him until he was safe. So that devastated him so much. So they definitely did not have an open marriage by any means. So she wanted to clarify that. Looking back, she does agree with you that maybe she should have minded her own business. So some of the comments are like, what business is it of yours to be so concerned about what's going on with Stephanie and Cole's marriage behind the bedroom door? Like, why is it your business? Why did you make it your business? And she had given me this information in the first email, but I didn't feel comfortable sharing it just because it's sensitive. But she gave me double permission, so here it goes. During this time, she was underwater in like postpartum hormones. And we know how like our brains can get like with either depression, anxiety, but she had postpartum OCD. So she was looping this life-changing secret over and over and over, and she felt like she couldn't do anything to help Cole. And she has this value, this core value of treat others as you would want to be treated. And she would want someone to say, hey, Sam's doing this while you're out and about. Like, Sam could be bringing home something to you that could change your life forever. Like, she would want someone to tell her. So she was thinking, I have to do the same thing for Cole. And I actually stopped when I read her, her update here this morning. And I thought, okay, so I'm imagining my two brother-in-laws. So I have, my two sister-in-laws, my husband's sisters. And I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm sitting across from like this one in particular at Thanksgiving, and I'm seeing his kind blue eyes, and I'm seeing him interact with his kids, and he's such a good daddy, and he's like, hey, Jess, do you need some more wine? I would just be like, oh my God, I gotta tell you something. It would be agony. I don't know. I wouldn't need postpartum anxiety to just be like, I don't know. It would be very hard for me to interact as if nothing's happening, knowing that he doesn't know that that's happening, and potentially something could be brought home to him, because we know Stephanie didn't use protection. Remember, she didn't use protection with the neighbor guy because she didn't think she could get pregnant because she needed to use IVF to have Bennett. And then we found out when she had the baby that the baby wasn't even the neighbor guy's. The baby was somebody, because it was mixed race, it was somebody else's child. So we don't know if she was even using protection when she was going to these rendezvous, like when she was planning on going to the hotel with a strange man from another town. So all of that in my head was just like, I just feel like there's so many layers that I would need to say something, or, encourage the family to say something and not keep doing this. Like, what are we doing here? And I think just that whole, like, the way that the family handled that secret, I think that's what grossed her out the most. That would gross me out. And I think, because if it's your core value to treat other people like you'd want to be treated, and then you see the whole family just like surrounding Stephanie and just like encourage, like basically enabling her to continue to do this to Cole, I think that would just turn my stomach. And then I would see them in a different light that I could never unsee it. And then it's almost like uncomfortable to be around people like that. So I definitely empathize there. That would be the way I would feel. The next thing she wants to share with you is how this has impacted her family, like her core family of 5. She wants you to know, like, we're tighter than ever. Like, when they went no contact, they loved it. It was actually so relieving not having to fake nice, not having to go on the family vacations, not having to see their children be, unfavored, and just deal with all of it. They loved being in their little isolated bubble. But for the fact that she knows how much her children do benefit from a relationship with Beverly, they have reunited, but it's been 14, 15, 16 months since all this happened. And she wants you to know that they've never, since it first happened, ever been alone or will be allowed to be alone with Beverly. So Doug, the father-in-law, is always there, or they're always there. So you don't have to worry about that. The last thing she wants to say is her real struggle. So this is her specific boundary question that I didn't get in the first email, and I'm really hoping you can help me with this, because this hits a little personal, so I can't discuss it just for my own personal life's sake, but she is not a fake person, nor am I. So when I feel something, it's really hard for me to hide my feelings. And she is most concerned because yes, she has forgiven Beverly for her personal sake, not for Beverly's sake, just for her own peace. But now that she has forgiven her enough to be around her just for her children's sake, Beverly thinks we're back in the beginning stages of our relationship. So if you remember the opening piece of her letter when I first started this series, I thought I hit the in-law jackpot. My in-law or my mother-in-law treated me so kind. Like, she treated me as if she could pick any daughter-in-law off the shelf. She would have picked me. That's the way Beverly is showing up now to her. And can you imagine someone that can't hide her feelings after everything Kira has been through, after everything she's seen with his family, after what Beverly did to her in the family therapy session? Can you imagine how Kira is showing up in that interaction? And she's wondering, my real struggle is how I'm appearing to my children. Oh, right? She's right. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, you're compartmentalizing the pain that she caused you so that you shield your children from that, so that you don't taint the way that they, tarnish the way they see Beverly. But yeah, she's right. Your kids are going to be like, wait, grandma's like love and all up on mom, and then mom's like an ice queen. Like, what's going on? What do you guys say to that? Like, how can she respond to that if her children ever have a question without appearing mean and without spilling the beans? So I'm going to leave that one with you guys. Again, this was a story. I cried several times yesterday after we wrapped it up, just thinking about everyone in this story. I really was thinking a lot about Kira. I was thinking a lot about Cole. I was thinking just a ton about what a hard spot Sam was in, trying to balance everything. And I'm going to be honest, I was thinking a lot about Beverly. I was thinking a lot about that year of the court case and what she would have felt like, since she essentially was raising these children on her own, or as her own, and feeling like she had no agency since she was the grandma, and that Adeline was going to be potentially taken from her or partially taken, and there was going to be a strange person in her life. Like, I cried so much yesterday. It might seem stupid, but I really try to step into what it would be like to be each person when I read a story, and it was a really hard day for me yesterday. I couldn't wait to go to bed. So I hope you got the answers you were looking for. Again, Kira, thank you so much for responding to them. And thank you so much, like the community in general, just for being just you and providing such a safe net, like a safety net for people to come to us. You should see our DMs now. Like, we have another story that we might have lined up to do another series like this. So the way that you are responding to their story is making other people say, I feel safe enough to share mine now. So thank you.